That really takes the steam out of an offense. If you're behind by only 6 points, you don't go anywhere, and all of a sudden you trail by 13.
Well, it sure does, Joe.
And this time the ball is still loose down there and knocked out of bounds by the Vikings. And they may call this a kick out of bounds, and if they do, it's a bad call, because that ball is knocked out of bounds.
Joe, I wonder if they're talking possession. In other words, that the Niles player did not have possession of the ball. He grabbed it or batted at it, but he never quite had possession of it when it went out of bounds, so that they penalized the Mustangs for kicking it out of bounds.
Well, that may be the call, but if a ball goes out of bounds on a regular play, the offensive team maintains possession.
Boy, that's right, yes.
And I don't know. Penalty flag was thrown right down in front of where Doc Cavanaugh is standing and Coach Knight. And they gave the officials an earful, but they're going to lose the argument.
Well, I'm sure, Joe, that that's what they called, was that the Niles man did not have possession of the ball as it went out of bounds. And, of course, we all know that on a kickoff, if you do kick it out of bounds, it's a 5-yard penalty and you take it back.
I imagine you're right. I stand corrected. You got to give the officials credit. They do an outstanding job most of the time. So we'll kick it off again. Bob Pop to kick it out of the hold of Matt Kopp, and he'll drill it down the middle of the field this time, and the Vikings will make sure and down it on their own 42 or 43.
Well, looking at Bobby Pop make that same kick time after time, Coach Knight has obviously found that weak spot in the middle, as we mentioned before, Joe, about just the way that the Niles Vikings line up on that. There's kind of a hole in the middle, and he's just going to put it there, let somebody fall on it if they'd like to, or if there's a chance, of course, there could be a fumble or a lot of different things, rather than try to boot it back and have them make a return.
Well, we'll see if Niles elects to put it up in the air. They've had good success tonight throwing the football. They'll have it 1st and 10 on their own 41, 42-yard line. Browley again at quarterback. And he'll keep it on a rollout right, looking for some help and being chased, and he's going to go down. Kalinske, Dave Kalinske in on the stop for the Mustangs. Senior, 6 foot, 190-pounder. I don't think Niles has made any positive yardage so far in the second half.
No, they haven't, Joe. They've been stuffed every time, and again, they're back. They lost 5 yards on that play, and this has got to be a great boost for the Mustang defenders.
2nd and 17, a loss of 7. Niles having all kinds of trouble offensively. Browley looking for some quick help, and he's going to be sacked again.
Boy, the pressure there, Joe, came from both sides. It came from everywhere, really. They pushed back the blockers, the pass blockers, and just kind of shoved them all into the pocket where Browley was, and he had no place to go, no chance to scramble or anything else.
Well, it looked like he wanted to throw some sort of a quick pass. He took a very short drop, but give the Mustang secondary credit. The Niles offense couldn't find the open man, and down Browley went. Loss of 2 more. It'll be 3rd and 19, and Niles will call a timeout.
They may want to talk it over a little bit. Looking at the down and distance situation, Joe, they may want to go back to what was successful for them early on, at least in the passing areas, and that was to kind of run the deep backs out and try to throw underneath the deep backs, but just beyond the linebackers. It may give them the first down. If it doesn't, at least it gets them out there where they can kick the ball away and not lose field position.
Well, you got to figure that the Mustang coaching staff at halftime talked with their secondary people and corrected that problem on the wide receiver delay there and the crossing pattern that was giving them some problems. And they've been doing a good job on coverage, and that has allowed the defensive front to get the pressure on Browley.
Boy, it sure has. And I think that the whole Mustang coaching staff is one of the best at making adjustments at halftime, Joe.
Well, I always felt as a player that nobody prepared better than the Mustangs did. From watching the films the week before to working every day in practice, by the time they got around to the game, you really knew what the other team was going to do. And Niles will punt it away. It's a good kick, a fair catch called for by Kopp, and he makes the catch on his own 29-yard line.
Must have been what they were talking about, Coach Davidson was talking about over there, because, of course, it was just third down, and he decided to put them down, try to punt it, or to punt it, and at least move the Mustangs back. Maybe their defense can hold now, or maybe they can get them fired up a little bit, and then it'll get the heads up of their offensive players so that the next time they're out on the field, at least they'll try to be more successful.
Well, the field position will come into play here. If Niles can stop the Mustang offensive surge and force a punt, they should get the ball back in decent field position. Portage Central in a double tight end formation with a wing back at the top of the screen left, and they'll come back to the short side of the field. Knight on the option, pitch to Pewitt, breaks one tackle across the 30, and he's stacked up by Pat Mead, number 34, and another penalty flag is down on the field.
Number 20, the defensive back, Tyrone Saxton, went in on Steve Pewitt, and he dropped his head to make that tackle. And I think with a runner like Pewitt, well, from that play, but from a lot of other ones, you don't do that. He'll step right over you or make that move around you and continue upfield.
Yeah, you can't put your head down if you're trying to tackle, because you lose sight of the offensive player, and he'll step around or over, as you mentioned, and go right on by. Pewitt with some quick feet danced around the tackle, and when he was finally knocked down, they got a call of a late hit or perhaps a spearing call, and that'll move the ball forward another 15 yards, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Mustangs on their own 49. Personal foul, the call against the Vikings. 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Portage Central leads at 13-0. Stacy Young is the lone wide receiver out of this two tight end formation for the Mustangs. Ball in the right hash, and they'll give it up the middle to Marty Williams, and he's over the 45 and down close to the Niles 40 before he's wrapped up.
Do a little Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, running Marty Williams up the middle, the big guy, and then getting the ball back to Steve Pewitt to run around the end.
Saxon in on the stop. Mustangs rolling along again offensively, 2nd down and 1. And now Niles looks like they're stacking 2 men over the Mustang center, and the ball goes to Pewitt, and a fumble. It's loose on the field and covered, I think, by the Mustangs. Also a penalty flag flew in there.
Not sure if that was a penalty flag or if the referee threw in their little pad that they throw in where the ball was originally fumbled, in case there's any question on where to spot the ball, Joe.
Well, could be right, although I thought I saw a yellow flag. Mustangs will retain possession. Perhaps it was an option and Pewitt just grabbed onto it and got it caught on his hip. I don't think we'll ever know, but he got back and recovered his own fumble. No penalty flag. You're right, it was the ball marker.
One of the toughest things about running the veer, Joe, as you well know, is that when you run the ball in or put the ball into the belly of the dive back, if the quarterback wants to pull it out, that dive back's got to let him do that. And sometimes if the running back gets a little bit excited, he's going to grab onto that ball, and then you're pulling against each other.
3rd and a long way. We'll go the option to the wide side. Williams has a blocker. He'll turn on the speed. And he's got the 1st down. Excellent block by Pewitt, the lead back. And also Stacy Young, who is the wideout on that side of the field, ran off the defensive back. And Danny Knight did the rest on the option. 1st down, Mustangs.
Boy, that's a great thing to see, Joe. When you see the big back carrying the ball and the little back making the big block, everything works just perfect.
Marty Williams at 6'3", 215 is a load when he gets outside. 3.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Portage Central 13-0 over Niles. Will go option the other way. And this time it's not going to work as Jeff Lee wraps up Danny Knight.
Danny Knight lost the handle a little bit on that, Joe. If you notice, he kind of dropped her down there around his little white towel that he holds onto, and he did the best thing he could. He just hung on to it, and go ahead, we'll give up that yardage, and we'll come back on 2nd down and see what we can do.
Yep, no need to take a chance on pitching the ball out and having it drop on the ground. 2nd and 14 as they lost 4 yards. going on the long snap count for the Mustangs. They'll give on the middle to Williams again, and he finds some room. Gain of a couple. In on the tackle that time is Carl Gathright, the fullback. Also plays linebacker on defense, and he's only a sophomore. He's going to get a lot better for Dave Davidson's Vikings. 3rd and 10 for the Mustangs. Ball resting just inside the Viking 30, called the 29 or 28. And sets up an interesting 3rd down call. Mustangs having good success here on the ground in the 3rd quarter, but maybe they'll put it up. And they'll get called for too much time, a delay of game penalty, and that'll back them up 5 more yards.
You mentioned, Joe, that they're in 4-down territory, and of course this puts them back a little bit, 5 more yards. When you're talking 10 yards, the way they've been running in 4-down territory, that didn't look like anything out of the question to get. Now you're going to talk about 15 yards, and you may have to limber up the passing arm.
Well, if that's any indication, they're going to take Chris Norman out and bring in Terry Martin and go with 2 wideouts, I believe. And they'll both be split to the left or the top of your picture at home. Stacy Young and Terry Martin, with Young being the inside man out there and Martin out on the far side. And they'll throw the pop pass the other way, and it's off the hands of Polderman. Again, Danny Knight on target, but just a little bit overthrown.
Pretty play and a great idea. You get the whole defense kind of thinking about the 2 wideouts, the 2 quick guys, and run that just a little play action pop pass to Devin Polderman.
4th and 15. Ball resting just inside the Viking 35. Mustangs lead at 13-0, 3rd quarter. Dan Knight under center. And they'll pitch it out to Williams on the halfback option pass, looking to throw. He'll throw it downfield, and this ball could be picked off, and it is. Saxon makes the interception on a ball that never should have been thrown.
No, it probably shouldn't have, Joe, although now you're looking at a situation where it's like a short punt. At least you've got him inside the 15-yard line and coming out. There's not a whole lot. Well, in fact, there's a little bit of, it's a better situation in terms of field position than it would have been if he'd have kept the ball and just eaten it back there.
Yep, you're right. But nonetheless, he threw that ball into quadruple coverage.
Yeah, there was a group of people in there, and most of them had white jerseys on.
Nice coverage by Niles as they smelled out the halfback option. They'll take over 1st and 10 deep inside their own territory, and they try and pop the tailback through. Maurice Miller in at tailback now. He'll pick up a few. They gave him 5 yards. It'll be 2nd and 5.
We didn't get any word why Carnell Campbell is out, but Maurice Mitchell now is running at that tailback spot.
Well, and perhaps just wanted a little change of pace. 52 seconds left to play here in the 3rd quarter. And Browley again will drop back and give the ball to his tailback, who stopped for little or no gain. Doug Roberts in on the stop for the Mustangs. Mustangs 1-0 in the young season with the win last week in Lansing, 13-0. And right now that's our score. Mustangs 13, Niles nothing. As time runs out here in the 3rd quarter, less than 10 seconds to play. Browley will roll right and put the ball up in the air, and it's complete over there on the sideline. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter with our score. Portage Central 13 and Niles nothing.
They may have to measure over there, Joe. It was right at the mark. And now they're indicating it is a 1st down. Terry Martin was defending on that play.
12 minutes to go, and Portage Central will rack up win number 2 on the season and get their first conference win